Please sit straight. You don't have to put in prayer pose or anything. You can either close your eyes and please mute your environment wherever you are to have the full benefit of this program so that we are not disturbed in between and our concentration get diverted and so on and so forth. I'll be muting you all. Om Asato Ma Sadghamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirghamaya Mrityorma Amridam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please lead us from unreal to real. Please lead us from darkness to light. Please lead us from death to immortality. Peace, peace, and peace. And I welcome you all to this wonderful morning for our Kundalini Yoga session by Dr. Thakkar and me. I'm Shabiriji. If you do not know me, founder of the Organic Mind. A small ambience to practice yoga, pranayama, and meditation. And first of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Thakkar, who accepted to come here and share his wisdom with us. He has done a lot of research and his knowledge and wisdom is commendable. And I'm really happy to work with him. What you see is just a day work here, but behind the scenes, there are a lot of preparations are there. So I always interact with him, and such a joyful person to interact with him. And it's a very commendable work he is doing to bring clarity to the esoteric terms, or the clarity to, the spiritual knowledge and science, how to bring closeness to the outer science. So, and also I'm happy to announce that actually today, Dr. Thakkar is getting felicitated by the Gujarat Society of Southern California for his commendable work on philanthropy. So I congratulate him on this occasion for what he's going to receive today, the award. So definitely, last but not least, thank you every one of you who are here enthusiastically participating in our session. And this gives us a more enthusiasm to host such an event so that we can do some research, do some analysis, and then bring forth these knowledge and wisdom to you all, to share with you all, so that we can make a better community around us. And that is the whole goal: individual well-being and the community well-being. So the knowledge by rishis, then scientists, has been documented for many years. Many years they have experimented, they have experienced, and they are given to the disciples. That is the documentation in those days. Imparting to the disciple is a documentation, and that disciple impart to other generation. So like that, even at this juncture of life, at this age of life, still in the modern world, the meditation and yoga, asana, and pranayama is as valid and as fresh as before. It's amazing because of its eternal truth embedded in it. So, how to decode or demystify these rare knowledge through our current intellectual, the modern intellectual way. Otherwise, there will be a scarcity to understand this rare knowledge through our modern mind. So it is very imperative and important to, us to bring these terminologies, these concepts, these experiences and experiments to introduce to you, and then you can introduce to the younger generation and the modern mind, so that it is very welcome and we all can attain well-being in our life. That is the most important thing. Not just hearing what is the yoga or a Kundalini yoga or what is Kundalini Shakti, and then let alone your mind will take the pride, your ego will take the pride saying that I know about Kundalini yoga, that's it. But don't stop there, but practice and experiment and experience. That's the most important part of it. Window shopping is good, but at the same time, real shopping and experience is important as well. So Kundalini Shakti, I'm going to talk about little about the spiritual perspective of Kundalini Shakti, and then I'm going to turn to Dr. Thakkar, and he's going to explore the medical part of it, and so that you will get clarity on the intellectual perspective of it. Your quest will be quenched. So let me put some light on the spiritual part of it. And there are many of the enlightened masters left a note for us that it works. So we have to just pick up one and explore and understand and analyze, so that the modern mind can comprehend and accept and start practicing. So I'm going to talk about the Kundalini Shakti itself, and Dr. Thakkar will be detailed on the Kundalini yoga and the peripheral and the core principles and practicality of those things. So in those days, it's called, in Tamil version, it is called, there are two sciences are there, Mejnanam and Vijnanam. Vijnanam means the outer world science. Mejnanam means the inner world science. So the inner world science, there were so many scientists. They are called rishis. They are called siddhas. They just spend their lifetime to analyze within their body, within their subtle bodies, and they come up with extraordinary results and understanding and clarity. And that has been passed to us by generation after generation, disciple after disciple. It has been passed, and some of them are well documented as well. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint today, what I'm going to present, just to give you a clarity here what I'm talking. Let me share my screen here. You all see my screen? So Kundalini Shakti, we all know about what is Kundalini Shakti. A layman idea, if you Google on it, it will come up and say that Kundalini is described as a sleeping dormant potential force in the human organism. It is one of the components of an esoteric description of subtle body. which consists of Nadi, the energy channels, Chakras, the psychic center. In Tamil, it's called Sural Mayam, which means the whirlpool of prana. And then the prana, subtle energy, and the drop of essence. This is the description of Kundalini Shakti. So let us understand in a little bit different way and also understand the ultimate, what is the potentiality of it. So every one of us has this Shakti within us. This is the primordial energy embedded within each one of us to achieve the fullest potential of human nature. So I've taken this has been represented in different forms like this. This is a Patanjali statue, but Patanjali, there are two ways to interpret this. Patanjali is a reincarnation of Adisesha, according to Hindu scriptures. So he has been depicted as with a half body as a snake, and then the serpent hood on his head. The other terminology is the Kundalini Shakti has been represented as serpent energy, and when it rises from base chakra, the root chakra, which is located at the base of the spine, which is called Muladhara chakra, when it rises towards Sahasrara chakra, and when it is going to Sahasrara chakra, the movements of the Kundalini Shakti has been expressed as a serpent power. So that has been depicted like this. But I would like to tell you a story about, the power within. I'm borrowing the story from Eckhart Tolle. He is talking about, a beggar had been sitting by the side of the road for many years. And one day a stranger walked by and spare some change. The beggar is asking the stranger, spare some change? Mechanically holding out his whole base. So he is asking for alms from the stranger. And then the stranger said, I have nothing to give you. Then he asked, what is there that you are sitting on? Because he noticed a box where he is sitting on. So the stranger asked the beggar, what are you sitting on? So he said, nothing, just an old box. I've been sitting on it for as long as I can remember. And the stranger is asking, have you ever looked inside? And he said, no. The beggar said, what is the point? There is nothing there. Why should I look into it? So the stranger insisted to the beggar, please look inside. Somehow the beggar believed whatever the stranger said, insisted. So he opened the lid, and for his surprise, the box is full of gold. So the story says, I am that stranger who has nothing to give you and who is telling you to look inside. So the whole program is a stranger telling you to look within you, not inside any box, but somewhere even closer inside yourself. So you may say that I'm not a beggar. I got everything. Those who have not found their true wealth, which is the radiant joy of being and the deep, unshakable peace that comes with it, are beggars, even if they have great material wealth. They are looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, or love, while they have a treasure within that not only include all those things, but something more. See, this is a perfect example of why we have to look within to understand the life important aspect of it, which we don't give any value at all because we do not know anything about this Shakti. We do not know anything about, we never tried. All we are doing is just, they call it as We live between Mooladhara and Swadhisthana Chakra. Mooladhara for desires, Swadhisthana for fear. So we live between these two chakra and then we die. We never move upwards into a different planes. So this is the Kundalini Shakti. If you understand in a proper way, now you understand that the most important purpose of our life to awaken this energy, to materialize or to realize the fullest power within you. So Kundalini Shakti can be awakened for many purposes. Some may use it for a specific goal, specific siddhis. We will explain you what is siddhis in the later part of our talk, and for a specific material or power attainments. This can be used, but in my perspective, the best way to make use of this energy to get enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Realizing your fullest potential power within you. You can realize the supreme nature of yours by completely allowing it to reach to its fullest. Any material goals are impermanent. Therefore, this is the best way to use this energy. So, Kundalini Shakti, the Shakti is within us. It's a primordial energy. And lot of our, the enlightened masters have experimented, experienced, and documented. So it is just a matter of you dwell into this, their words, and then just go through with your buddhi, your intelligence and intellect to adopt and select a suitable methodology for you and practice yourself and understand whether it is working or not. So I would like to, you all know about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great enlightened master happened in India, who is maybe an example for all of us to take his words, take his experiment and experiences and understand this Kundalini Shakti in a more detailed way, so that our modern mind can comprehend this. He says Kundalini is the primordial energy said to be located at the base of the spine. Different spiritual traditions teach methods of awakening the Kundalini for the purpose of reaching enlightenment or self-realization. So there are many methods. There are many methods to awaken this energy. There are many yoga. There are many, techniques to awaken it. But the best purpose of this awakening Kundalini is reaching enlightenment or self-realization. The other things are like in between. It's a sidetrack. It is like you are going for some purpose, but you forgot about the purpose, and now you are, sidetracked by something. I just remembered a story from Papaji that, a king, he didn't have any children. So he said that I'm going to adopt a son from the country, from the, where he is ruling. So he told his ministers, please announce this to the people, and tomorrow, such and such, the whole day, I'll be opening up the palace so the people can come who would like to get adopted as his son, and then, we'll go from there. So the ministers announced this to the people. So the next day, but also the king told the ministers that, hey, when the guest arrives, please treat them nicely, like almost like a king, because he's going to be my son. So he will be, he has to be treated very well. And all the things what I do on a daily basis, the king lifestyle has to be introduced to him. So the ministers accepted, and next day people started coming to the palace who like to get interviewed by the king and to become his son. So from the morning people started coming. So the people came and they were given a very good bath in a very lavish one, and a lot of fragrance and a lot of good food has been given. They were given a palatial bedrooms to sleep, and they told, like, whatever you want to take home, if you want something, you can bundle it and take home also, it's not a problem. So they were so delighted and enjoying this whole day there. So after 6 o'clock, the king is waiting in his courtyard to interview some of his future son. But none came. And he called his ministers and asked, hey, what happened? Um, so the minister said, a lot of people just bundled up a lot of gift and packed food and, fragrance and, the scent and all those things, the jewels and everything. They left. They said that they are more happy about this and they don't want to go further. And some of them are still lying down in the palatial bedroom. They are taking a nap and they are not interested to meet the king. So the moral of the story is the purpose of the Shakti to meet its king. But when you awaken the Shakti, so much energy, so much siddhis, so much sidetrack can happen. But if you get sidetracked, then the purpose has been lost. The purpose is to self-realize. But if you are using for some other purpose, then you can totally sidetracked from the main goal. That's the moral of the story. So according to our Rishi, there are 3 nadis in the spinal column. That is why they say that when you do meditation, you have to sit straight. You have to have a erect spine for a better result for meditation. So there are 3 nadis. Nadis are channels in our body. Dr. Thakkar will talk about the detail about it. Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. There are 3 nadi. Along the Sushumna, there are 6 lotuses or centers. The lowest being the Muladhara, then comes successively Swadhisthana, Manipuraga, Anahata, and Anya. So these are all called chakras, or the subtle energy centers along the nadis of Sushumna. The Kundalini lies in the lotus of Muladhara, base of the spinal column. The primordial energy resides in all bodies as the Kundalini. So according to Vedas, these are all called bhumi or plains. These are all called, Vedas are called, according to Veda, these centers are called bhumi or plains. There are 7 such plains in our body. Moving the primordial energy from Muladhara chakra to Sahasrara chakra is called awakening or samadhi. The funny part is 99% of the people just live according to Maslow's self-actualization theory. They live for the basic things. They live for food, fear, and sex. And that represents the lower 3 chakras. It dwells on lust and wealth. They never raise their energy from a base emotion to higher emotion. A lot of us get caught up in the anger or frustration or unhappiness, voidness, depression and whatnot, worries. All these things are, the lower emotions. We never take a time to heal those lower emotion or bring that lower emotion to higher emotion. When you travel, when the Shakti travel, the Kundalini Shakti travel from Muladhara chakra above to Anahata chakra, then you are in the spiritual journey. Otherwise, you will be fighting for the survival, So the first 3 represents a pure representation of your mind. That is why they say, when you transcend your mind, you are now traveling in the spiritual journey. After the great effort of practice of yoga, the Kundalini is awakened. So practice of yoga can be any form. any methods. There are variety of paths are there. Bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. Everything is targeted to dismantle your ego, dismantle your mind. How to dismantle the mind? That's a $1 million question. There are so many paths are there. That is why it has been represented as a practice of yoga. Yoga does not mean yogasana, just a yoga. Yoga is a unison or transcending your mind. When Kundalini reaches Sahasrara, then the mind goes to Samadhi. The spiritual aspirant loses all consciousness to the outer world. This happens to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and also it happened to Ramana Maharshi. See, when it reaches the Sahasrara, you almost give up your mind. When you give up your mind, you don't have a consciousness to the outer world. Somebody has to treat the body. Somebody have taken Ramana Maharshi out of the, wherever he is sitting and started treating him, because otherwise he doesn't have any willingness to take care of his own body, because the samadhi is actually you becoming one with the root. Sama means equal, adi means root. Samadhi means you are becoming the root. When you become the root, there is no consciousness about the self. The self is lost. Self merge into the ocean. The river merges into the ocean. There is no representation of different river idea when you merge with the ocean. It becomes one. So, but there are some come down after the samadhi, after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, and retain the ego of knowledge or ego of devotion for the pure purpose of sharing with others. And that is what happened to Adi Shankara. He expressed pure knowledge after his awakening. He started telling about Shuddha Advaitam to the world. Advaitam means the unison of, the removing the duality out of your life, becoming one with the Brahman, one with the source. That is Advaitam. He started teaching about Advaita. Some people, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is a great bhakti yogi. He had a complete love with the Kali. So when he comes down from the awakening, he can only share the bhakti. So the ego of devotion is left. That is what he's talking about. So a man's spiritual consciousness is not awakened unless his Kundalini is aroused. Kundalini is aroused when the person starts seeing desperately, restlessly for knowing the truth or God. This is well documented, I would say. What is that meaning? The seeking starts only when you are restless about knowing something truth more than the materialist thing. See, the material things can give you pleasure, but at the same time, the undercurrent is called pain. So when you have the duality, you are going behind pleasure. Of course, when you represent something as a pleasure, there is a shadow of a pain there. When you represent something as happiness, of course, the shadow of unhappiness is there. So transcending this duality, when you have this restlessness inside of you to come out of this duality, come out of this entanglement, then this Kundalini start arouse. It start moving upward. That is why the true seekers, they can see that somehow they will find out their guru. Somehow they will find out the scriptures. Somehow they will come and stumbled upon to the guidance and navigation. So a man's spiritual consciousness is not awakened unless his Kundalini is aroused. So if you are in a material world, you are going between pleasure and pain, and you are still not wake up out of this duality. Whenever the pleasure is happening, we will try to elongate it. Whenever the pain is happening, we want to shorten it. This is what the human beings are going through. Either is not possible. You can either elongate the pleasure or you cannot shrink the pain. When you don't understand this is where you are trying it out several times between the Mooladhara chakra and Swadhisthana chakra. The fear creeping, the greed creeping, the greed creeping, the fear creeping. So it's kind of a buy one, get one free. If you are not ready to leave the greed, the fear comes along with you as a shadow. So that is called the duality of life. Kundalini can get aroused once you have the clarity of getting out of it, getting out of this material um, influence or the mind influence. So when it reaches Anahata, the fourth plane, which is located at the heart chakra, you will have some spiritual experiences. So when you reaches to the Manipuraga, which is the jewel city, they call it as, you start getting some benefit. But when it reaches to the Anahata, that's where you start seeing some mystical experiences. When it reaches Vishuddhi, the fifth plane, you shed your ignorance and illusion. When you reaches to the Vishuddhi, you are no more interested about the materialistic thing. You always would like to talk about God, talk about the good. You want to do meditation. You want to do pranayama. You want to come for my class. I'm just joking. But looking for certain association where you can get more information and experiences for higher higher emotions. You want to literally sublime all your lower emotions and transcend those and reach out. That is where you get rid of your mind influence. I always say, driving, the vehicle with the influence of alcohol, you should not do it. But it's okay maybe sometimes, but do not drive your life under the influence of your mind. That's more dangerous than anything else. When it reaches Anya Chakra, the sixth plane, you start seeing the form of Sachidananda. That is according to Ramakrishna, his experiences. Existent knowledge and bliss. That is called Satchit Anandam. Now you traversed from your Annamaya Kosham, Pranamaya Kosham, the Manonmaya Kosham, all the layers you crossed. Now you reach the Anandamaya Kosham. That is called, you meet the form of Sachidananda, the existent knowledge and bliss. This is where you do not know why are you crying. You do not know why are you laughing. You are in the Satchit Anandam. You are in the Anandam. You are in the ecstasy, complete ecstasy flowing through you. So when it reaches the Sahasrara, the seventh plane, you become one with the Supreme. The aspirant's reasoning comes to a stop. The duality disappears. It is called Samadhi state. This is very hard to achieve because up to Dharana, only guru or a navigator or a guide can assist you. After Dharana of Ashtanga Yoga of Samadhi, after Dharana it's Dhyana, after Dhyana it is Samadhi. These two is a self-travel. You have to travel on your own. Only up to Dharana, you can bring the tools and stuff like that to help you out. But from there, you have to get rid of the tools. And that is what happened to Papaji when he arrived at Ramana Ashramam one day. The Ramana Maharshi asked Papaji that, Papaji was telling Ramana Maharshi that, Swamiji, I have learned so much techniques. It's is that helpful to me or what do I do? So he asked one question, how did you arrive Ramana Ashramam? I took train from this and this place, and then from train station, I took some auto rickshaw or something to arrive the ashram. Now he said that in order to arrive here, you may require all these traveling things. But once you come here, you have to let go those tools. You have to let go those train. You have to get out of the train in order to reach the destination. So that is called Samadhi. When you leave alone all your techniques, all your buddhi, all your reasoning, all everything, you arrive to the destination. And that has been beautifully told in Shaktism and Shaivism as union of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is represented as consciousness, Ajala, no movements, Higgs boson. That is Shiva. Shakti is the Prakriti, the movements. When there is a ocean as a Shiva, the waves are Shakti. When you see, is the waves are different than ocean? No. But at that moment of rising from ocean, of course it is different. That is the difference between Shakti and Shiva. So this Kundalini Shakti as represented as real primordial Shakti, which is the base of expressing this world, is residing in that Muladhara Chakra. When it is would like to reunion with the Shiva, which is he is at the Sahasrara Chakra, and that is where the Kundalini Shakti moves upwards to Sahasrara Chakra to reunion with the Shiva, the unmovable sitting there. So that union in Shaivism and Shaktism are called Kundalini awakening or Shakti path, or there are various ways to harness this energy. One of them are, and there are various thoughts on this. People talk about return to your true nature. It's an alchemy process. Yogi Bhajan is talking about the process of growth through Kundalini yoga is a natural unfolding of your own nature. Like a snake, you will need to shed old skin to more of who you are. So even though innumerable or umpteen methodologies are existing, but all take you to one destination, which is Samadhi. But again, as I said, you can take a detour. You can put a shop saying that I have a Siddhi, I have a Vak Siddhi. Whatever I say, it will happen. Then you create a shop and people will be coming and take a blessing from you, and you collect some money. You become a billionaire, millionaire, whatever it is. But that is a possibility, but that is not the ultimate. So let's review some concepts. I'm not going close look at all those things, but I just want to introduce you some concepts about in this chakra nadis and meditation. We talk about yogasanas, which is it is important to awaken the Kundalini Shakti as well as reaching Samadhi, because this introduces a flexibility to your spine itself, and that's most important because all the three nadis in your spine area. So the chakras get activated during the yogasana. So asanas activate subtle energy center and give a flexibility to your body. That is why it's imperative to do yogasanas during these practices. And then nadis are the channels of taking this prana. Prana is the embedded functionality within you, which means the prana comes with the functionality. You don't have to tell the prana to do what. Prana knows already. It's almost like a middleware in the software technology. I'm coming from the software side, so I can relate to that. The middleware means a software embedded in the hardware. The prana is almost like an energy embedded with a functionality. That's why I'm calling it as a middleware. In a very surprising way, prana is sitting, the pranamaya is sitting between your subtle body, which is manonmaya, and the gross body, which is the annamaya. So it is a bridge between these two. So I call it as a middleware. And a thought is the only mechanism through which you can materialize the energy into matter. That is called a thought. And that is very essential for your survival. Then you have a ahangar, ego, which is a kind of a politician who take all credits for whatever you are doing. So be careful with this guy. This guy take all credit. I did it. I'm best. It all take a self credit for everything. So that is called ahangar. And the chakras are the Sudal Mayam. In Tamil, they call it as Sudal Mayam, which means a prana whirlpool in various centers in the Sushumna Nadi. They are called chakras. And chakra has its own good and bad. I think Dr. Thakkar will dwell on a little bit more details. So I want to quickly take you to understand about the Kundalini Shakti. What is important at this point in time? Where do I start this to awaken my Kundalini or awaken my spiritual path? Swami Shivananda beautifully said, before awakening the Kundalini, you must have Deha Shuddhi, purity of body, Nadi Shuddhi, purity of the Nadis, Mana Shuddhi, purity of mind, and Buddhi Shuddhi, purity of intellect. Very, very important. These purities need to be attained before even you try. So that is why any seekers need some guidance, need some individually also you can do it. You don't have to go anywhere. You can practice on your own and achieve. The practice only to create a, what I call it as a habit inside of you. You created so many habits. When you go for some spiritual, this retreat or programs, all they do is they create another habit inside you by let go the other habits. That's the most important thing. So when I say purity, what I mean when I say purity, it does not mean the regular purity you are thinking about. This purity is your integrity within yourself. This purity is nothing to do with your morality, society, and education. You may be having so much money, you may be, yeah, you have a status, you are a this and that and somewhere here and there. It does not matter. The purity is the integrity you have within yourself. That is called purity. And what we do in the organic mind, we created an ambience to practice this purity. As I said, we all live with the mind, we always live within the mind, and we never go out of it. So we never explored after Manipuraka chakra. So meditation, pranayamam, and yogasanam will give you an opportunity to realize your own potential. It is nothing that I'm going to insert something inside you, or any other meditation center is going to give you extra. No gurus can give you, a complete, autonomous way of awakening your Kundalini. It's your seeking, it's your yearning, it is your restlessness to understand the truth is going to awaken you. So all we are creating an ambience for you to practice. Our process, just to want to say that what we do in organic mind, we have like a four type of program here, like not like a program. This is almost like a journey with us, saying that you first do an introductory class. We do the Ashtanga yoga, introduce you yogasana, meditation, pranayama, just to understand what is yogasana, what is meditation, how can I do Surya Namaskar, how can I do meditation. And then inner journey is the Thursday program. You come and practice what you learn in the first program, detox program. Then practice this for at least 1 year. I don't have any shortcut. I don't have any, quick methodology to give. I don't have any pill to give you to wake up. But it's your constant practice. We will be the catalyst to motivate you to do practice. So that is why it's imperative to do the inner journey for at least 1 year, and then move on to the Empower, which is a 2 days program. And then after Empower program, do another couple of years or 3 years, the practice of inner journey. Then you are ready for transformation. That's called a Transform program. There are, I would say, I'm very proud to say there are 20 people in this group who is waiting for the last 4 years to do the Transform program. And I'm very grateful for them. They trust in me. They are coming with this journey. And then most of all, they have trust in themselves to experiment this. So that is the most important thing. Do you have a guts to experiment? Do you have a guts to explore? Do you have a guts to understand, harness these energy within you? When you have that patience, when you have that, time and energy to explore more than your mind, and this is where you start your inner journey. So with that, I thank you, every one of you, for very attentively listening to me for the last how many minutes? It's almost like a 40 minutes. I'm going to, uh, please write down your questions. I will answer that at the end of the session. Now I'm going to let Dr. Thakkar talk about in detail about Kundalini Yoga. So, Dr. Thakkar, I'm going to uh, share his recording. And any question, please, after this, after Thakkar's talk, we will take question answers. We will answer all your question and then we will leave. So we have enough, another 1 hour, 15 minutes are there. So we have enough time. Thank you. I will share his recording.
Namaste, everyone. Uh, Thank you, Sabriji, for inviting me again. And thank you, Organic Yoga. My topic today is Kundalini Yoga, Unraveling a Mystery. We all know there are 4 pillars of health: nutrition, exercise, sleep, and grace. By grace, I mean the gift of God, a good fortune. But you can even make a grace if you are not that fortunate. And that is with the help of yoga. All you have to do is to practice yoga regularly, and you will observe the change in your life. That will be almost like a divine gift. The overview of today's discussion in Kundalini Yoga is a summary of our previous talk. We'll discuss Kundalini, a mystery or a hocus pocus, basics of the nervous system in relation to Kundalini. How is Kundalini Yoga different from other yogas? And what is chakras, nadis, particularly in relation to acupuncture and meridians? Science behind Kundalini Yoga, technique of Kundalini Yoga, and then the benefit of Kundalini Yoga. And we'll end with some closing remarks. And we leave you some time for question and answers. So in past, we discussed about meditation, sleep, pranayama, and yoga. Briefly, benefits of meditations. If you do 15 minutes of meditation a day with mantra, it upgrades body functions, structures, and chemistry. The maximum benefit is to the brain, creates new brain cells, and rewires your brain. More so through brain, it produces good chemicals like melatonin, serotonin, endorphin, growth hormone, etc., and suppresses the production of bad chemicals like the stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. And surprisingly, it even helps kill cancer cells. Coming to sleep, the benefits are almost as identical to meditation. But the focus is in sleep. It's a process to organize your deep memories. Another thing that happens in the sleep that is different from meditation is a cleaning of the brain of this toxic chemical called beta amyloid, which causes Alzheimer's disease. And during sleep, the clearing happens here. And of course, the creative and intuitive thinking is installed. You know, when you are going through a difficult problem or issues, people say sleep over it. That is because it does help you. The benefits of pranayama are well known to all of you, but it calms the anger, improves your sleep, it combats ruminative thinking, prevents lungs, sinus, and ear infections, strengthens respiratory muscles, improves intestinal motility. But I think one of the most important benefits is also that is the only way we can connect to the autonomic nervous system or chakras. Then, of course, we talked about yoga. As you know, it was mentioned first time in Rig Veda, whenever it was written, maybe 5 to 15,000 years ago. It was codified by Patanjali in Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And all of you know that the essence of yoga is union with divinity. In Vedanta, focused on Ashtanga Yoga with emphasis on Samadhi, while Shaivism focuses on Kundalini Yoga with emphasis on Siddhis. And all of you know about many types of yogas, but why are there so many types? Apart from the connection with divine, which is the ultimate goal of yoga, there are many psychological and physical benefits of yoga. The type of yoga one chooses depends upon the benefit yogi desires. Focusing on the Kundalini yoga, the most important benefit is its ability to control organs like lung, heart, intestine, and genitals. Siddhis or magical power is the ultimate goal for some of the practitioners of Kundalini yoga. Briefly, the type of yogas are Bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, Jnana yoga, path of knowledge, Karma yoga, Raj yoga, which is the combination of the above three, Hatha yoga, which focuses on the physical body, Ashtanga yoga created by Patanjali, which is a very structured form of yoga, and that I believe is probably the best type of yoga for everybody. Kundalini yoga, with emphasis on siddhis, talks about chakras and nadis. There is also a hot yoga started by Mr. Bikram, and the theory behind it is that in a hot temperature, during pranayama, you are able to connect with autonomic system much easier, and that has been proven true. But be careful, if your health is not good, too much of a hot temperature could be dangerous. Then we talked about various kriyas started by various leading proponents of meditation in yoga, like Sahaja Yoga was started by Nirmala Devi, Sudarshan Kriya was started by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar in Art of Living organization. Sadhguru in Isha Foundation calls their meditation inner engineering. Maharshi Mahesh Yogi talked about transcendental meditation, and Sri Aurobindo discussed integral yoga. All of them have more or less the same aim that leads to what Ashtanga yoga leads to, and that is samadhi. There is also guided meditation. If you are really unable to focus very well, a guru can guide you through various phases of yoga. And believe me, there is a doga where you can have a dog sitting next to you. I bet your dog will do a better job than you will be able to focus. Let's talk about Ashtanga yoga briefly. To achieve the ultimate goal of samadhi, excuse me, one needs to be ethically pure, and that is with the help of yama or restraint, mentally stable with pranayama, physically in best possible shape with the help of asanas or postures, well adjusted in your environment by pratyahara and detachment, and could allocate time for concentration and focus with dharana and dhyana, with the ultimate goal of leading to samadhi. But note, siddhi is not emphasized here. So when we are going to talk about Kundalini, what is the difference between Ashtanga and Kundalini yoga? Everything that you need for Ashtanga yoga, you need for Kundalini yoga too. In Ashtanga yoga, the focus is on health and samadhi. In Kundalini yoga, the goal is targeted health and samadhi, in addition to siddhis. And you will see more about targeted health and siddhis as we go forward. So let's talk about Kundalini yoga. This is one of the most misunderstood yoga. There are over 50 explanations and 500 techniques. So what is Kundalini? Ancient text says it is energy or a vital force. Is it? They say Kundalini yoga is the most dangerous form of yoga. Is it? And why? Why is it called the left-handed path? We will see more about it as we go forward. Kundalini yoga is a school of yoga that focuses on awakening Kundalini energy through regular practice of mantra, tantra, yantra, yoga and meditation. In Sanskrit, tra means a tool. So mantra is the mental tool, tantra is a process tool, and yantra is a machine tool. The name Kundalini comes from Sanskrit word kunda, which means a bowl or a pot. The feminine of kunda is kundali, which means a ring, coil, or a spring. Kundalini yoga is influenced by Shaivism, Shaktism, and Tantra school of Hindu. It is a blend of Bhakti, Raj, and Hatha yoga. Goal in Kundalini yoga is Siddhi, the ability to control the autonomic nervous system at minimum, and many other siddhis at maximum, and we will talk about it more as we go forward. So how did Kundalini yoga arose? As I mentioned, Kundalini means coil or a spring. When compressed as a spring, it has energy, and it is compared to a sleeping coiled up snake, particularly when disturbed, it ferociously jumps with a lot of power or Shakti. Our rishis noted that all important 6 organs in our body work even when our brain is damaged. And I think you know this very well. You've heard of people who are in intensive care unit who are brain dead, but their heart works, their intestine works, they can digest food and they can eliminate food. So what makes this run? And our rishis called it the vital energy that controls these organs, and they called it Kundalini or chakras. And this vital energy is not new to us. In China, they call it Qi. It's pronounced Qi. It is spelled Qi, but it is pronounced Qi. And the practice to develop this Qi is called Qigong. In the 11th century, in the tantric text Shardatalika, this power was first named Kundalini, and that is when the name stuck. The interconnecting nerve fibers for the various chakras are called nadis. Now we know that the vital energy is autonomic nervous system, and you will learn more about it as we go forward. Kundalini yoga is listed in Muktika canon of the 108 Upanishada since 1656. The first English translation occurred in 1919 by John Woodruff, and he titled it The Serpent Power, The Secret of Tantric and Shaktic Yoga. In 1935, Swami Sivananda wrote a landmark book called Kundalini Yoga, and that has become the gold standard. Popularity of Kundalini Yoga increased in 1960s with the rise of hippies in the Western counterculture. And the main reason for its popularity was because it was labeled as forbidden knowledge or Gupta Jnana. Anything you call forbidden, people will be interested in it. The modern perspective on Kundalini Yoga is that Kundalini is not an energy as we know it, like the heat and the electricity, but it is the knowledge and the ability to control the organs which are not ordinarily controlled by conscious brain. It's like, your heart, it keeps on beating. If you can have a control over this, you truly have a tremendous knowledge. It is true that knowledge is power, and therefore you can even call this as an energy of a sort. Science tells us that these organs are under the control of autonomic nervous system, grouped in the 6 different locations. These locations are called plexuses in Sanskrit, and in Kundalini they call chakras. Our breathing system is one of the organ systems that can be consciously controlled to a certain extent, and hence with the help of pranayama we can control these chakras and therefore our organs. Chakra is a very confusing subject too. I remember my uncle Babu Kaka used to tell, I'm becoming chakkar or crazy looking for chakras. So according to Kundalini Yoga, there are 7 chakras. There are other proponents who have proposed many more chakras, but we will focus on these 7 chakras. In this diagram, the take-home message is that each one has a different color. And that color is more or less now established. And the reason for this color is that in Kundalini Yoga, you need to learn visualization. And having a particular color for a particular chakra does help the process of visualizing. This diagram is actually a wonderful, comprehensive diagram that explains a lot. Firstly, it talks about the various chakras. As you see on the right side, there are 7 chakras starting from the top: the Sahasra chakra, the Agnya chakra, the Vishuddhi, Anahat, Nabhi, and so on. In here in the middle, you see there are 2 yellow and the blue lines. They are the nadis. And these are the Pingala and Ida nadi. Interesting to note here, look at the hand. You see at the fingertips, there are different colors. Now these colors also correspond to the various chakras. And if you want to activate a particular chakra, if you activate that particular fingertip, that particular chakra can be activated. Doesn't this remind you of acupressure or acupuncture? So we will talk about it as we go forward. So in the Chinese system of acupuncture and meridians, it is very similar. Acupunctures are like pressure points, as I mentioned earlier. Meridians are like nadis. Now in Kundalini, they talk about 2 nadis and the third one being the Sushumna. While in the Chinese system, they talk about 8 meridians or the principal meridians and 12 other secondary meridians. And different school of Chinese medicine talks about thousands of meridians, as in Kundalini, they said there are 84,000 nadis. Anyway, the only thing for us to know is that doctors have gone and dissected human bodies and have never found any nadi that has been corresponding to the nadis that Kundalini or Qigong talks about. Nadis in the traditional Indian Kundalini systems are the paths through which the vital energy or the prana flows. The meridians in the traditional Chinese medicine are paths through which life energy known as Qi flows. Nadis are Ida and Pingala, while the meridians also are 2, Jingami and Luimai, or yin and yang, depending upon whether you are following a Chinese or the Chinese system. And then numbers range from 2 to 10 to thousands. Chakras, the pressure points, meridians, are not real anatomical structures, as I mentioned earlier. Scientists have not found them in their scientific studies. The modern concept of these nadis is represented by the autonomic nervous system. This is a very interesting fact to know that, when Nixon went to China, his team was demonstrated surgeries under acupuncture and they were astounded. But subsequently, in 2006, there was a documentary by BBC on the topic of alternative medicine. And they filmed patients undergoing open heart surgery under acupuncture. It was later revealed that the patient had been given actual cocktail of modern anesthetics. So it was purely a fake system. Let's focus on chakras and energy centers. So there are 7 chakras, as I mentioned, starting from the top. Sahasra chakra or the crown chakra has been labeled violet color. The function is mainly to receive the divine knowledge. And this connection to divine is blocked by the mental chatter. And that is the reason for yoga to quiet your brain. Ajna chakra, or the brown chakra, some people call it the third eye, has been given indigo color. And it is the brain. That is what the indigo chakra represents. And its function is insight, intuition, and thinking. And it is blocked by illusion. Vishuddhi chakra, or the throat chakra, is given a blue color. The function is communication and singing. It is enhanced by truth and blocked by lies. Throat dries up when we are lying and waters up with pleasure. Do you know this mechanism is used in the lie detector test? So if you are lying, your throat will dry up even if you don't want it to. So there is no way to hide a lie. Anahat chakra represents heart. The color is green, and the function is love of other souls. And it is blocked by hatred. You know, our heart races when we are anxious and excited, and it slows down when we are relaxed. The chakras and energy centers. Continued. Next is Manipura chakra, or the navel chakra, or the Nabhi chakra, has been given yellow color. The focus is on stomach, and it represents willpower. And it is blocked by shame. You know, we lose our appetite when we are ashamed of our action. Swadhisthana chakra, or the sacral chakra, is given orange color, and it represents sex organs. Function is sexual pleasure, felt as arousal response in the romantic state, and it is blocked by guilt. Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, represented by red color. It covers rectum and urinary bladder and represents survival by elimination. It is blocked by fear. You know, bowel movement and urination is vital for survival. You know, how long can we last if we lose it? It's interesting to note that fear causes constipation. The basic knowledge about nervous system and how it connects to the chakras and nadis is what we are going to see. Kundalini in chakra is all about autonomic nervous system from the Western perspective. And as I mentioned, Pingala, the sun nadi, is related to sympathetic nervous system. Ida, or the mood nadi, is related to parasympathetic nervous system. And Sushumna is both sympathetic and parasympathetic. The only time it is activated is during samadhi and orgasm. Understanding the nervous system will make it easy to understand the Kundalini yoga and chakras. So let's talk about that. As we know, central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, and the nerves that go out of them is called the peripheral nervous system. And there are two kinds of nerves, one going to the somatic system or the skeletal muscles that helps you to move your arms and legs. And second one is the autonomic nervous system that goes to your internal organs. And that is normally not under conscious control. And with the help of the Kundalini yoga, we can bring it under conscious control. For the entire nervous system, the brain is the head organ. But for autonomic nervous system, at the base of the brain, there is this organ called hypothalamus, which is part of the brain, and that controls the autonomic nervous system. It is also connected to limbic system, which deals with emotions. And it is through that limbic system that our emotions affect our organ system. And this autonomic nervous system has sympathetic and parasympathetic. So what is that sympathetic and parasympathetic? The autonomic nervous system consists of sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. It acts independent of consciousness in a manner to create a balanced and complementary response to the environmental stimuli. This is designed for animal world. When they are walking around in the jungle, sometimes they have a danger where the sympathetic nervous system jumps and acts into play. And sometimes they are having good time where the parasympathetic system comes into play. The sympathetic nervous system is often considered a fight or flight system. It is very quick. And in Kundalini, it is called the Pingala Nadi. The parasympathetic nervous system is often considered the rest and digest or feed and breed. It is slow, it deals with pleasure, and in Kundalini it is compared to Ida Nadi. The autonomic nervous system is unique. It came before cerebral cortex was developed. Earthworm has that too. Because it is a local decision maker to minimize taking permission from higher centers and sparing brain for other important work. We can call it the peripheral brains. And you can understand that you don't want to think a lot when you are being chased by a lion. You need to run before you think. There are several locations where there are a collection of nerve cells of the neurons. These collections are called ganglions. And in Kundalini, we call it chakras. And these ganglions are connected with the help of nerves. We call them nadis. Together, these ganglions and nerves are called plexuses. And they are located on each side of our vertebral column. And there are 5 of them. In the neck, the cervical plexus. In the thorax or the chest, called the thoracic plexus. In the abdomen, there is an upper lumbar plexus, a lower lumbar plexus, and all the way at the bottom is the sacral plexus. Awakening Kundalini simply means ability to control autonomic nervous system or samadhi. Most dangerous form of yoga, as it is called, because it gives you the ability to control your heart and your breathing. And for example, attempt at a prolonged holding of your breath can be harmful to some people with fragile health. It is also called the left-handed path. It's because it talks about controlling and enhancing sexual abilities, which in certain setting is not a topic to discuss openly. Most frequent use of Kundalini Yoga was done by male members of the society who wanted to improve their sexual performance. And the effort was supported by Kama Sutra. After Islamic invasion and a Christian British Raj, discussion about sex was a taboo subject. Kama Sutra was actively suppressed, and it became hush-hush. As I told you, the first book on Kama Sutra and Kundalini was written in 1990. It was one of the best sellers, but it was not openly available in the British market. Researchers of the Kundalini Yoga came to the West in 1960s when the hippies, after visiting India, came back. Kama Sutra tells us, on the balance in life, in any period of life in which one of the elements of the three varga, the dharma, artha, and kama, is the primary one, the other two should be natural adjuvant to it. Under no circumstances any one of the trivargas should be detrimental to the other two. In summary, what it is telling us is, that we have to live with the balance of dharma, artha, and kama. Don't let one overpower the other. Otherwise, you lose the balance and you can then introduce mess in your life. So we have talked about siddhis. What are these siddhis? There are two kinds of siddhis, the minor siddhis and the major siddhis. The minor siddhis are something that we can ordinarily achieve easily. For example, in breathing system, you can improve your singing, chanting abilities with the help of focusing on your throat chakra. It can also help you control your asthma. In the cardiovascular system, focusing on the heart chakra can help you control your heart rate, reduce your blood pressure. In the gastrointestinal system, it helps you control hyperacidity and peptic ulcer. In the lower gastrointestinal system, manages constipation and irritable bowel syndrome. In genitourinary system, it manages sexual issues. The major siddhis are the real magical powers. Some people say they've achieved it. I have not. I have not anybody who has, except the last one. So animana means that your body can become extremely small like an atom. Mahima, that it can become large like a mountain. Laghima, that it can become weightless and even fly. Prapti, it is to become, to be anywhere at will. So you can be here, there, and everywhere. Istva is to control nature. If it is raining, you should be able to stop the nature if you have this siddhi. You can have access to the memories of the past lives. Parkaya pravesham means entering somebody else's body. Advandam, that is the one that now we have observed happens, like tolerance to heat and cold. There are people who can jog at the temperature of 140 in Sahara Desert, and they can live in sub-freezing temperature, in cold temperature. The technique of yoga is focused on visualization and absorption. This is a valuable tool for ordinary yoga, but for Kundalini yoga, it is very important. Because Kundalini yoga deals with internal organs, a knowledge of the anatomy is valuable. And therefore, you need a qualified guru who can guide you through this knowledge. For example, if you want to treat your constipation, visualize the anatomy of the intestine, instruct your bowel to move forward, naming it from the cecum to the colon to the rectum to the anus. And you have to instruct it. And within 2 weeks, you will see a change. And within 3 months, you will be able to master your problem. So before you begin, make sure you know what your goal is. Because in Kundalini Yoga, your goal is target oriented. For example, I want to control my heart rate, or I want to control the movement of my intestine. Then you do the regular yoga with a location, a time, and a particular posture with pranayama and mantra. And then do the visualization, as I mentioned earlier, for intestine, what you would do. And then you need to actually get absorbed as if you are sitting on the top of your intestine or you're within your intestine. You should be part of your body. That is called the laya, or the absorption. Once you achieve that, you will achieve your goal. So the benefits of Kundalini Yoga are focused on specific target. So for crown chakra, clear thinking and improved brain function. Throat chakra improves singing skills and helps conditions like asthma. The heart chakra, better control of racing of the heart and anxiety. The navel chakra helps your willpower and also helps heal peptic ulcer. The sacral chakra improves sexual performance, including to satisfy interpersonal relationship. Root chakra improves constipations and irritable bowel syndrome. And siddhis is a long process as mentioned earlier. So in conclusion, the ideal yoga for all of us is Ashtanga yoga. Kundalini yoga is very target oriented. It is used either for treating certain ailments or to achieve certain siddhis. For a newcomer, Guru is strongly recommended because there are detailed instructions needed. And from a qualified Guru, certain practices of this Kundalini yoga could be harmful. So it is important that you know about this, you find a Guru if you have issues, and then seek help. Thank you very much, and I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thakurji. A beautiful presentation. And now I'm going to, in my mind, now I'm talking about ganglion, plexus, and sympathetic and parasympathetic instead of chakras and nadis. Like that, you have a strong influence on connecting the dots. So now, before we move on to question answer, I just want to spend 2 minutes to thank Dr. Thakurji one more time to such a valuable knowledge and wisdom in his precious time in his life and bringing here for us, um, increase our awareness and consciousness on this subject. And Rupaji for all the time be the chief of this organic mind from marketing to arrange everything, and you are there all the time. And Rajesh Thakur for coordinating this too. And thank you, every one of you, one more time. We will go on to question answer. I will, unmute you all. If you have any question, you may ask. I think there are some questions already here. So let me read before anyone asks questions. So be patient. I think I'll go from the, please address how to purify the nadis. I didn't say that to whom. Do you want to say, or I can say purification of nadis can be done by pranayama. As he said, the only control you have on the autonomous nervous system is through prana. Prana can be used for, that's why it is called a nadi shodhana. Nadi shodhana means purification of your nadi. Simply doing analom vilom or the nadi shodhana, you can purify your nadis. There are several other pranayama which boost or help in that process. And the next one is scans. Oh, that's not the question. Hello, Shabriji, here are my question, if you could address them. Question one, does Kundalini not require close supervision under an experienced guru, and that if this situation is not available, it may be risky to practice Kundalini Yoga? I think you might have heard from Dr. Thakur is explaining about that. Yes, you need a proper person who already experienced all these things, especially if you are into a targeted and specific goal on the Kundalini Yoga, you definitely need. And again, I want to record this in this program also. All we are bringing an information about Kundalini Yoga, and we are not telling you to go ahead and practice this. Definitely under a supervision of a professional guru is definitely recommended. And practicing all these things on your own is not recommended. So that answered that question, I think. And the second question he put that.
Sabriji,
Yes.
This is Ushakant.
Yes.
I also want to answer the same question in a little different way.
Please.
All of us, if you want to do yoga, do your Ashtanga yoga. But if you have particular medical issues, you need to target when you are in your dharana on that particular organ or chakra, and then try to control that. Now, it is only when you are focusing on your heart and in your pulmonary system, you need to be mindful. Because sometimes if you get carried away, and try to hold your breath for a long time. You could lower your oxygenation so badly that if you have a critical health issues, you could hurt yourself. But otherwise, if you are going to focus on your intestine and so on, it is not something that is very dangerous. But the good part is that whatever organ you want to target, try to understand a simple anatomy of that organ. It will help you in focusing your uh, Kundalini yoga.
Thank you, Dr. Thakkar. I think that covered the first question. The second question, the same.
Dr. Thakkar, this is Sai. I was the one who posed that question. I'd like to address the kind of a follow-up to Dr. Thakkar, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, Dr. Thakkar, what I was going to ask about was some of Kundalini yoga involves visualization techniques. I mean, that's central to the whole tradition. And I'm aware of some people, some doctors actually, at UCLA. I think they've started an experimental school there for as therapy, and they use visualization to cure physical problems. Now, do you know how effective these treatments have been at UCLA Medical Center? That's my question. And I know when they gather the experimental data, it takes sometimes decades to be able to prove something. How successful have these treatments been?
Yeah, let me answer that. Firstly, I don't know the results of the experiment. I know that there are 4 centers in the country that are currently doing the studies on this topic. But I have personally used it for intestine, and it is extremely successful. As I told you, it takes about 3 to 4 months for you to master that. The only key component requirement is for you to understand how your body works. So as I gave you an example of intestine, and personally for me, I was constipated, and I applied it to myself, and it was phenomenally successful. And that issue for me is now completely resolved. So I am a total believer in the system, and I feel that the study, if conducted well, you will see, will be very positive.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second question from the same person is, what is the difference between Kundalini Yoga and the Kriya Yoga that is taught by the Self-Realization Fellowship or the SRF founded by Swami Yogananda? What do you think of the, that's another question, I think.
That's a third question. Yeah, the second was the SRF one I had.
Okay.
May I answer that?
Yeah, sure.
So as I mentioned in my slides, that there are, every guru has their own modification, and they called it a different kriya. Ultimately, the goal is to reach samadhi. And as you know, calming the mental chatter is a very difficult issue. And everybody who has experienced themselves will bring their own ideas or technique. And if they are sufficiently popular, then they will label them as their own system. And they're right. As I mentioned, that there is a Sudarshan Kriya, then inner engineering, and Sahaja Yoga. You can name many of them. The key component is that they all allow you or eventually teach you to follow the steps of Ashtanga Yoga. And so if you understand what Ashtanga Yoga is, and if you introduce that in your lifetime, you are going to ultimately reach the same goal that they all are trying to take us there, and that is to reach samadhi.
I just want to add, yeah, thank you, Dr. Thakkarji. I think that is well said, because the Kundalini Yoga or Kriya Yoga, it's a different path to a samadhi. And there are many paths. If you really look at the 4 major paths of Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Raja Yoga, if you take that, the Karma Yoga, everything is targeted to dismantle your ego, the I, so that you can transcend your mind. Bhakti Yoga through the devotion, Karma Yoga through action without expecting result. Jnana Yoga, through your intellect, you understand what is the root, what is the source. And by Raja Yoga, by techniques and meditation and pranayama and yogasana, you achieve the same. So as he said, the goal is the same, but the path will be different. And again, why so many methods are available? Because when people experiment and experience certain things, what they experience becomes truth for them. Now they want to tell that to others. And so many pattern of mind is existing. So many peoples are there. So many people are there. So many paths are possible. That is why so many techniques are happening actually. So the sub question on that is one more question there saying that what do you think of Gopinath's on some negative experiences that he went through early in the practice of Kundalini awakening? I haven't read Gopinath book, so Dr. Thakurji, do you have any?
No, I don't know. If you can tell me what negative experience they had, I might be able to guess on it, but I have not read it.
Yeah, no, what I wanted to bring up was, and this is a book I read several years ago, so I don't know if there's been an update to this or not. There was this practitioner, I think his name is Gopinath, and I don't know his lineage again and where he got his training from, but he went through some bad years in terms of his learning, and they were kind of psychiatric breakdowns and other mental issues that kind of became heightened in his training. And so I think he quit this whole thing for a period of time. I don't know what happened after that. So my question was, do you know about this person, this book that he wrote on Kundalini Yoga, and his experiences? Because I haven't followed it up. I was hoping that you would have some comments on that.
Yes, I can comment on that. As a part of learning meditation and yogic technique, sometimes it comes to your realization of reflecting on your life to see what mistakes you've made in the past. And sometimes the process of self-discovery is very shocking. It is very similar to psychoanalysis. When somebody is going through psychoanalysis in presence of an analyst, their past is opened up. And sometimes their past is so traumatic, they couldn't believe that they could have done certain things. Some parents may have abused their children. Some may have done some really bad thing that they have suppressed it for a long time. And when you open it up, suddenly the realization of a massive injustice you have inflicted on others can really create a psychological breakdown. So under that circumstances, it is valuable that you are sitting next to an analyst or sitting next to a very wise guru, because otherwise you could really suffer tremendously. Your goal is to bring your past, open it up. It's like opening an abscess. You drain the pus and then the healing begins. So sometimes going through the evaluation of your past life or your past experiences can be traumatic, but with the help of a guru or an analyst, you can come out of it. And actually, you will be better for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's the question. I have it in the chat box. If anybody has any question, please feel free. And maybe I can open up your screen also. If you want to come online and ask, feel free to ask questions. It's open for any questions.
So good morning. This is Rekha to both of you. Thank you for this talk because I really wanted just some basic information regarding Kundalini Yoga. My question is, when I do my meditation daily, I usually visualize all the chakras, so my question is it wrong to focus too much on one chakra versus the other? I mean, I usually spend equal time. So what's the right thing to do?
As I mentioned in my presentation, that focusing on a chakra is purely targeted. So if you have an issue regarding anxiety, then you need to focus on your anahata chakra. If you are constipated, you have to focus on a different chakra. So I would focus on chakra depending upon issues. Otherwise, your meditation should be based mainly to stop the mental chatter, bring your brain to a total quiet or peace. And that is where the connection happens. And that is the way I look at meditation. To me, Kundalini is like a specialized system for a specialized issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rega ji, for that question. Anybody else has any question?
Hi, Sabriji. I have a question. If you have your voice not clear for your, like I was a singer in the past, like which chakra is good for that? Like to make your voice clear and smooth.
I think for the expression, it's a Vishuddhi chakra, throat chakra.
Throat chakra. Okay.
Yes. Is that right, Dr. Thakurji?
Yes.
Vishuddhi. And for constipation, which is the chakra?
That is what he just said, Mooladhara chakra, which
Muladhara.
is
Muladhara.
the base
Okay.
of your spine. Again, please put your own intelligence of, dealing this, because Dr. Thakur, it really worked for him. So you need to have that patience and all those things to do this. And if you have any medical issue, please consult with your doctor. That is recommended. But these are all tips we are giving you for a possibility of healing. So please apply wisely.
You know, I am so amazed that our rishis thousands of years ago, without having any advanced equipment or technology, just by the power of observation, they discovered so many things which are turning out to be true now. In the beginning, I was a non-believer in all this technique. But as I got into it in the detail, I realized that without having any equipment, the knowledge base that developed was so profound that now when something comes to me from a Vedic period, before I used to be a non-believer, now I actually believe it and try to investigate myself to see what they were trying to say. And it all turns out to be really very, very good. And same thing as has happened in China. They discovered the meridians, the two types. Same thing in our Kundalini system, the Ida and Pingala, that ultimately turned out to be the autonomic nervous system, which is sympathetic and parasympathetic system, which is the balancing mechanism. So, so it is very impressive. More I understand the science and know what the ancient rishis brought about, my respect for them progressively increases.
Thank you, doctor. I think one more thing.
So I have a question.
Just 1 minute. So just a minute, like saying that, as he said, just understanding this, now we are connecting from rishis, meditation and pranayama and all those things with the modern knowledge. And, the mental tendency is to acquire the information, understand the jargons, and be proud about it, rather than please practice and apply it to your life and attain the well-being. That is the most important goal here. So your mental position will give you a satisfaction of learning, which means I know all these terms and I know all these things I learn now about pranayama and meditation in the modern way. But please practice and attain or get the well-being for yourself. That's most important. Don't forget it. So at the end of day, you don't want to forget about that and practice and practice and practice. Yes, who is that? Next question.
Yeah, Meena. So when we are practicing Kundalini yoga, do we focus, our focus should be on that part or organ, or like we think of lotus in those areas, or the color associated with those chakras?
Meena ji, uh, the various technique of colors and so on are tools for visualization. But I think the very best tool would be the knowledge of anatomy. So for example, if you really want to help your bowels, you need to understand how the food flows from the esophagus or the food pipe to the stomach, to the small intestine, and then to the large intestine, and eventually to rectum and out through anus. When you understand the anatomy, and if you instruct your organs to move forward, you will notice that change happening there. So depending upon what you're focusing, first try to understand the anatomy. But not everybody can really enter the anatomy class or access to the knowledge of that. And under that circumstances, taking a color or a symbol like a lotus would be helpful. But the true knowledge comes when you understand the anatomy in the truest way possible.
Thank you.
May I add something, Dr. Tucker?
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you for such a wonderful presentation and giving us the scientific background to the chakras. I practice ITP, which is from the teachings of Shri Aurobindo also, with a group called ITP. And it's visualization of the bowel is the easiest, and I've used it myself. And like you said, it really works. I find it much harder for the heart, and breathing is also a little bit easier, but heart is really hard.
So I will give you a technique for the heart.
Okay.
The simple technique to control your heart is to instruct your heart to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, use a common language.
Okay.
Because you have learned a common language, but our brain knows what you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So in your common language, in any language, you tell yourself, heart, please slow down. And then you focus on your heart. So when your heart is beating, if you focus, you will be able to feel the beating of your heart. You don't have to put your hand on your chest to feel
Right.
it. You will actually feel it. And then you tell your heart in a common language of your thinking, slow the heart, and the heart will eventually slow down. It is really very, very simple. Use a very common sense, use a simple language to instruct your body to do it, and your body will do it.
And even you can feel the heart, even if you are not having a fast heartbeat, even if it's like.
If you want to, see what happens is, if you could feel your intestinal movement and your heart movement continuously, your brain will go crazy.
Yes.
So what our body is designed is to suppress all the sensations so that you can enjoy the environment and you're not bothered by it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to experience your heartbeat, just by simply instructing it, within 2 to 3 weeks, you will be able to start feeling your heart. But you will realize over the period of time that that will be very disturbing to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'll try that.
Yeah, imagine you are experiencing your heartbeat, and then you are experiencing movement of your intestine, and suddenly you are sitting in an auditorium trying to watch a drama. How can you focus?
Yes.
So your body is designed to suppress certain sensations so that you can focus on your environment.
My intention was not to like try to influence the heart, but difficulty in connecting with the heart chakra.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to connect to my heart chakra if it's not bothering you.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I don't want you to start learning to feel things which are not necessary to feel. That way you can actually feel the things which are necessary. And that is the emotions of your neighbor, the relationship of your people, or the beautiful environment you are in. So you don't have to focus on the beating of the heart. That happens automatically.
Okay.
Um, hi, Dr. Tucker. I have a just like I wanted to share something with Anita. That's like when I'm on the treadmill and I have that on, I have tried that unconsciously, like the heart rate is going up and I say, I don't want it to go up that fast. So, by watching that, it's kind of an indirect way of kind of knowing. And, you know, it's like I don't want my heart rate to go up to 100, and I'm like saying, okay, let me calm down, and I can see on my watch how it goes down. So I know it does respond even though I don't feel it, but I can see the variation as my thoughts, kind of what you said, Dr. Tucker, when you talk to it, I can see it on my iWatch. So that was one, but that I just wanted to share. But my question was like, when you focus on the Vishuddhi chakra, what is the anatomical which you're trying to visualize? If you do the Vishuddhi, like how would you visualize your throat inside?
I think go to Google and find the picture of the throat.
No, but there's not like a voice box. What do you, just the regular throat inside? Like,
So let me explain to you.
okay.
So somebody asked a question about the singing ability. Now, singing ability depends upon your vocal cord.
Right.
So what you need to do is, if you want to improve your singing ability, first you need to do a regular meditation. You sit down and do all the things that you do for meditation. But during your dharana, think of your voice box. And then think of the vocal cords, which are 2 in number, and they are located in the V shape. And you need to focus just on that. Don't instruct it, but just focus on having 2 vocal cords in a V shape. And if you look at a picture of a vocal cord in Google, you will see it. Once you see it, you will not forget it because that is your focus. And then just focus on that. And once you're done with it, try to do a little bit of singing. And as you sing, you will realize the time and place where your voice breaks. Again, focus on that and do the same singing. And over the period of time, you will see that your singing quality improves. So that is the way to apply this Kundalini yoga regarding your voice to your vocal cord.
Thank you, Dr. I think this was very amazing. Thank you so much. I think it's like the Deepak Chopra doing the Ayurvedic and you're doing the yoga now. So we are so proud of you. I'm looking forward to your book also.
I have to tell you that I was not a believer in many of these things, but I personally experienced an out-of-body experience. I personally saw how I could help several organ systems of my body. And I then became a believer. So I am an experienced skeptic who is then converted to the believer.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
again.
you. Thank you so much, Dr. Tucker. Thank you, Sabriji.
Thank you. I see a Ikshwaku Oza on the screen. Ikshwaku is my high school classmate. Ikshwaku, good to see you here.
Good to see you.
Namaste.
Any other questions we can take? We have few more minutes, 9 more minutes. Feel free to ask. There is no right or wrong questions, so you don't have to be,
I missed the earlier session, so probably next session will be a better opportunity to put the question.
Ikshwaku, most of the sessions are already recorded and posted by Sabriji. And so everything is available for your observation. You can go back and look at some of our previous discussions.
May I ask one question?
Sure. I will send, at 1 minute, I will send the link to all of you, the previous sessions, so you can visit that recording. Yes, Ullasati.
Thank you. How do you differentiate and in a distinguished manner control overall body blood pressure and pressure of the eyes, which is the glaucoma part?
Uh, um, I see the name Joy Dolakia.
That's correct. That's correct.
So Joy Ji, I think you need to focus on your heart, and you need to instruct it to ease up, to slow down, to control. Just actually say to relax. It is when you do that on a regular basis, you will see that your blood pressure will start to go down. As you know, blood pressure is the function of sympathetic nervous system. So when sympathetic system is overactive, your blood pressure goes up. When the parasympathetic starts acting, your blood pressure goes down. So your focus needs not to tell them that sympathetic act or parasympathetic slow down. You just need to tell your brain to lower your blood pressure or lower your eye pressure. So when you are thinking about eyes, you need to actually focus on your eye. You need to visualize your eye and just instruct to lower the pressure. I can't tell you 100% that it will work, because some of it can be so bad that in trying to control it, you could be so delayed that you could actually damage your eye. So you make sure that you do traditional medicine, but by meditation and focusing on certain organs, you can actually help them. I don't know if you guys all remember this story about shooting a fish, eye of the fish during this Swayamvar. And what basically it is you don't have to look directly. You only have to tell your brain that I need to focus on that fish, and I need to focus at the middle of the eye of the fish, and let your body take the aim, and it will shoot it right. I don't know if you guys have done that, but I have done it. You know, sometimes I went on the cruise and there is a skeet shooting. What a skeet shooting is that a machine throws a disc into the air, and with a gun, you shoot that disc. And you know, you would imagine somebody who has no gun training. So I was on the cruise ship and I was told the same way. Don't worry about anything. Just look at the disc going there and shoot. Your body knows how to adjust your arm and the pressure and so on. And indeed, out of 10, I could shoot one time in the middle of the air. So what I'm trying to tell you is that your body is designed to act appropriately. You just need to focus and shoot. I don't know those who have learned driving in America. You know, it is difficult to drive between the line. What you do is you try to look at the lines, and your car goes from left to the right and right to the left. But my driving instruction would tell me, don't do that. Just look where you want to go. Your body will adjust your car. And that is what body is capable of.
Thank you.
Thank you for a beautiful, wonderful questions. And any more questions? I think, you know, the whole
I had one experience I wanted to share, if it is okay, like which Joy was saying, like for the blood pressure or, and all. Like I also have high blood pressure and diastolic one higher side. I sometimes, when I'm checking the blood pressure, and if I focus on Om only, like start saying Om in my mouth, it goes down instantly. So is it related to that brain function also or not?
I think so. By the way, this is my yogi, this doggy.
Oh, that's so cute.
Anyway, yes. So yes, it is related to your sympathetic parasympathetic system, the Ida or Pingala Nadi.
Yeah, because you're focusing on
your focus should be on one thing. I want to lower my blood pressure, and that's all. Don't do anything else. Just ask that question and continue your meditation, and eventually things will happen.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we got 3 more minutes. Any more questions? Bring it on. All right. Rashmi, okay, you already asked the questions. So what is the take on from this learning? That's why I already told you the take on should not be that you have a proud moments of knowing this much knowledge, but take on is how am I going to understand and learn and assimilate this knowledge into a practicality, to a pragmatic solution for your daily life. If it is not helping you on your daily life, this spiritual progress is useless, isn't it? Spiritual progress is not after the death. It is before death. When you are living on the planet Earth, you will have greater experience on this beautiful journey on the planet Earth. Don't forget that. Don't compromise that. That is where your buddhi is going in the right path, which is acquiring well-being and wellness in your life. That is why this whole focus of bringing this medical aspect into the spirituality helps us to understand, because nowadays our modern mind need modern explanation. That's all. As he said, you can simply tell your heart to tell your brain to slow down, but your mind has learned too much, so that your mind is not listening a simple command to let go. Certain learning is what is called meditation, isn't it? Just to sit and just don't do anything, just be. So with that information and knowledge and wisdom, I thank you all, every one of you, for participating today's session. And it was really wonderful. And Dr. Thakurji, thank you for your wonderful time. And thank you, everyone. And we will see you next time with a new topic. And we will announce you soon. And I have a new classes. Please check out my website. And if you are interested, come and join us for the Organic Mind classes. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much too. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Princy, Sabrijit.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur and Sabriji. Amazing, amazing presentation. Wonderful with practical ideas and a very informative way of telling everything. Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Many, many thanks, Dr. Thakur and Sabriji, for arranging all this, valuable things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.